Hey everyone, welcome back to the Exes story arc. So, as you may have noticed, the channel underwent its changes a while ago. The channel name Moray Eel is the name that I go by on Discord and is also my username on a few things. I'm going to keep it as Moray Eel unless I can find something better, but I like this username, so I'll most likely keep it. As for the direction of this channel, it will mostly be World of Warcraft content. However, I will also be uploading other games sometimes as well. Webkins, Animal Jam, Spyro, Club Penguin, just whatever I feel like recording and playing if it's not World of Warcraft. Another small channel update before we start. As you noticed, I did not include a hand-drawn thumbnail this time. In fact, there's no custom thumbnail at all. That's because I've decided I'm going to take a rain check on the hand-drawn thumbnails for a while. I just haven't had much inspiration to draw, and since this channel will mostly be Warcraft-related going forward, I can't draw humans. Only animals. Yes, I could draw my Drakthir or my Worgen or blah 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 blah, I get it. I'm just having crazy art block right now. I'll still be editing the video and including gameplay and pictures and whatnot, but for now the hand-drawn thumbnails are benched. I might go back and add hand-drawn thumbnails in the future, or a simple custom thumbnail with stock images pertaining to the story, but that is also up in the air at this moment. Anyways, enough of that. This specific video will revolve around my first ever boyfriend. For this video, I'm just going to call him Arthur, as one of my high school friends always said that he looked like Arthur the Aardvark, and honestly, I can see the resemblance looking back at it now. A disclaimer before I start. I am merely telling these stories to sort of build up the tension to the finale of my worst ex ever. I will also say Arthur honestly did not do anything wrong in this relationship, and I was a real piece of poo, to put it lightly. However, out of all my exes I'll be talking about, Arthur is truly the only one who never did a single thing, wrong or toxic. I wholeheartedly screwed this relationship up, and I'll get into that while I tell the story. All the other exes I will be telling stories about did one thing or another wrong to make me distance myself from them, whether inside or outside of the relationship. Of course, I was no saint, but Arthur was the only ex who never wronged me despite what I thought back then. Every episode will go through the events of that relationship, what made us break up, if we stayed friends or parted ways completely, how I'd react to running into them again today, and what I learned from that relationship. Now that I've explained the formatting onto the story, Arthur had come from a private school to our public school our freshman year. At first, we didn't speak, we only had ever made eye contact. However, after a funny incident between my two friends on the bus happened and Arthur got involved, Arthur became my friend too. Turned out we had a lot in common. We both loved Pokemon, we both liked similar music, and we kind of canceled each other out, with me at the time being very eccentric and outgoing, and him being very shy and introverted. Funny thing is, I am now crippled by social anxiety, and I'm closer to a hermit than anything. Ironic. Our relationship timeline started on a trick-or-treat night that October, where he had started to catch feelings for me. I, at the time, was taken by my rotten ex, who's being saved for the finale. Shortly after that, though, Domino, a guy mentioned in the Crushes and Flings video, and I started, quote-unquote, dating, as I had had enough of the rotten ex. That wasn't the end of her, though. Very shortly after Domino and I broke off the fling, Arthur took a shot in the dark and confessed his feelings for me. I had said yes to him asking me out because I thought it would work. We were pretty good friends at that point, and I didn't want to let this pass me by. So we start dating, and everything is going well until the rotten ex suggests I date them both and become polyamorous. I immediately shut that down, and so did Arthur. No way was I doing that. I was also very emo and was convinced my life sucked, so Arthur never heard the end of it. Looking back, I feel really bad putting him through that, as he clearly didn't deserve the burden with everything else going on in his life. We also couldn't really see each other very often because of everything going on. However, I, of course, being a stupid idiot back then, antagonized this and made him feel bad for never spending any time with me. I was a toxic pea stain. Then something happened with the Rotten X over Thanksgiving break that I will not get into in this video. All you need to know is that I was frazzled for months about this, and I never looked at her the same way again. Shortly after Thanksgiving break, I show Arthur some of my Pokemon art, and not knowing the difference between constructive and destructive criticism at the time, I took his helpful tips as destructive and lost it to the point where very hurtful things were said and I pretty much ruined the relationship. After that, he attempted to break up with me, but ended up staying in the end because I was freaking out. The relationship would only go on to last a couple more weeks, however, and then it ended in flames. Once he told me his decision on the matter was slated, I said some stuff I really regret saying, some of it being very hurtful lies, and after that we hadn't spoken for months. I tried to patch things up and clarify that some things I said were lies to hurt him right before our summer vacation that year, but while he forgave me, he said it would be best if we were not friends. So, that was that. Nowadays, if I ever saw him again in person, I would apologize profusely for what I did back in the day. He didn't deserve any of that, and I was, again, a toxic pea stain for even doing these things. I still regret doing these things because deep down I know if he didn't find someone else already, it will be or was extremely hard for him to open up to someone else after I tore him a new one for doing absolutely nothing. The lesson I learned from this relationship is be understanding to your partner's circumstances and know that there might be bigger priorities than you at that moment. Arthur was in a really deep hole with things I won't mention for his anonymity, and I didn't consider that a bigger priority than I was. So I lashed out constantly because he rarely came to see me. Truth of it was, that wasn't the end of the world, and I feel really bad for not knowing that back then. Well, this was the first episode of the Exes story arc. Next one will be much more interesting to say the least. It will be a ride. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.